Hey ladies and gents of OCP, I'm Colski.
I'm Matt Damon.
And this is our review of Thor Ragnarok.
My destiny is to rule all others.
On November 3rd,
we're running out of time.
Experience the film critics call a majestic spectacle. It's a triumph.
Asgard is not a place.
It's a people.
The boldest Marvel film yet.
Now, those people need your help.
Shall we?
After you.
Thor Ragnarok. Rated PG-13. Get tickets now.
This is Marvel's latest effort and the third movie in the Thor trilogy. Obviously, Chris Hemsworth is back as Thor. And we don't want to give too much away of this. We don't want to spoil it for anyone, do we, Matt?
No.
So obviously we're going to try and make this as non-specific and spoiler-free as possible, while try and still give you an idea of what we actually thought of this film. So this one's being directed by Taika Waititi, I think his name is pronounced. He's a New Zealand director. Recently did Hunt for the Wilder People, starring Sam Neill. And obviously then that got him the job here on Thor Ragnarok. Now this was a very, very different...
Very, very different for all the other previous four movies we've seen. You know, with one, with Laufey and all that, and two, with the Dark Elves. But number three just brings in like a whole new dynamic.
Which we have seen before. We've seen before in, obviously, Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, even then, that was very new to have that, obviously, comedic side to the film, which a lot of you going to see it are going to realise that this movie is a borderline comedy, isn't it, Matt?
Oh, I don't think there was one, for 1 minute, I did not laugh. There was always a side joke.
And if you weren't laughing, I don't know about you, but I always had this huge smile on my face through the whole movie. I mean, and the cool thing is the action here is still awesome. I mean, the opening sequence of this film is sick. Action's full on. The camera work is brilliant, while still maintaining the... Actually, that first 5 minutes kind of sets the tone for the whole film. You get that comedy element and that action element and all of that actually within that 5 minute opening sequence. So... be prepared for something different, because it really is different. I mean, this is borderline comedy. Well, actually not borderline comedy, it's flat blank.
Full comedy.
Comedy.
And plus, if you're Australian, you're actually going to get a lot more of the jokes.
Well, Australian or a Kiwi, for that matter. Australian or New Zealander. I mean, you've got a New Zealand director with an Australian actor. There's only really one way this was going to go. But yeah, what it's provided is something really fresh. So that's really good. I mean, there is some, like Matt here said, there's some really laugh out loud moments where you're giggling like a little schoolgirl, but obviously still asking yourself, hang on a minute, why am I laughing at this? Why should I be laughing at this? But, you know, who cares?
In the beginning, it actually got so much criticism when they said they wanted to go in a real comedic direction. But I think this has actually paid off.
And look, and you know it's going to get heat from all of these butthurt DC fanboys. Yeah, I'm talking about you guys out there. Then, you know, that are always carrying on. Oh, the Marvel movies are too light and they're too funny. The DC movies are much darker and more... Who fucking cares, man? As long as you're entertained by this, which, let's face it, I was.
That's what movies are for. That's
right. We're there to be entertained, and that's exactly what this movie does. So obviously you've seen in the trailers, Mark Ruffalo is in this as well. There is a big focus on the Hulk-Thor dynamic here, which obviously even in the earlier Avenger movies and all that, you've seen that there's that you know, offbeat relationship between Thor, the bromance, between Thor and Hulk, which obviously that's explored a lot more here.
Or we could call it the Revengers.
Oh, the Revengers. So obviously that's really cool, and there's a really cool dynamic, not only between Thor and Hulk, but Thor and Bruce Banner, and apparently Bruce Banner's hate of Tony Stark, well, at least Tony Stark's clothing.
Apparently wears skin jeans.
Clothes are too tight. But there is so much in this movie that works, but in saying that, there are a few parts for me that didn't work, and we've discussed this already. Carl Urban, his character of Scourge.
I was expecting a real, like, burly look at a character, but then, you know, what we saw was like, hang on, do we even need this guy?
You see him in the trailers and all that, this bald dude with the goat and all that, and he looks mean, and then all of a sudden he's a joke, he's trailer park trash, which, like Matt just said, that, did we even need him? He's introduced, he goes through this, and then obviously takes his big turn in the film to what he really wants to become, and ultimately you finish the movie and think you could have taken that whole element of Scourge and Cole Urban's character out, and it wouldn't change the movie's dynamic or anything at all. It wouldn't have changed it. He really didn't need to be there. It was actually very disappointing. But
I'm actually glad you can remember his character, because it would have went straight over my head.
Yeah,
He didn't make an impact.
Well, hang on. This is where I'm going to turn it to you, though, with Kate Blanchett as Hela. What did you think?
Dark, and I loved it. Because, what's the thing with, like, all the elves from Lord of the Rings now being supervillains in the MCU? I just do not know.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, you know, once you've been to Middle-earth, you've got to venture into the Marvel Universe. I don't know, I wasn't overly convinced by her. She tried to come across as being this menacing, evil character, and it was almost like she wasn't even trying. You know, all of her lines, she was almost just delivering, not actually, you know, being a part of and being her character. She was just almost saying the lines. I don't know, that's how I felt to me. I don't think she was... I think it was a step back, you know, particularly after seeing Michael Keaton as the Vulture in Spider-Man, who was awesome, sick. And then you've got Loki in this movie as well, Loki's probably one of my favourite villains in the Marvel Universe. And he kind of takes a back seat here and almost becomes another
like
running joke. Yeah, but he's almost like a running joke through the whole movie. Every time you see him or something, someone's either taking the piss or he's taking the piss or something like that. And yeah, it's kind of disappointing for me. But at the end of the day, it actually didn't really take anything away from the film, because I think it turns out that Hela wasn't really a bad guy here.
No.
I'm not going to go into it. Like we said, we're not going to ruin it. But so now Valkyrie, again, she was there. Yeah. She obviously she had her part in the story of helping Thor and whatever else, but again, not another vital part of the story. But anyway, the highlight here is obviously Thor, and obviously what he's going through and his relationship with the other characters. Now we'll talk also about Jeff Goldblum, which I believe you didn't like.
What? Where?
Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like, you know, I don't mind Jeff Goldblum, you know, like, he's actually been in, like, some of my favourite films, and, like, I was actually really convinced that, you know, he was going to deliver, like, a real strong kind of character, but once again, it just felt light, didn't feel believable, and, you know, it just didn't work for me.
Like you said, obviously Jeff does his, he has that thing about him in all of his movies where he has his own little catchphrases, like, wait, what? And all of those, yeah. But here, again, he almost seemed like another one who was just delivering lines and not really doing much of anything else. Again, the villain's not really serving much purpose in this film other than just to be there to move the story along. But again, all of these negatives aside, just everything else that was going on in this film made it fun. Like Matt said at the start here, a lot of jokes here, particularly for Australians and New Zealanders. I'm very interested to see what the Americans and the English think of this, because I think a lot of the jokes are going to over the top of your head. Obviously, I'd like to refer to a few, but obviously we're not going to go into that. But all in all, another enjoyable Marvel film.
Also, I'd just like to add, what's with Marvel changing their trailers?
Okay. Well, there's been a lot of this going on, but not just from Marvel too. You got to think, obviously there was a big one last year with Rogue One, where a lot of the footage in the Rogue One trailer actually didn't end up in the final film, as where this time the trailers were changed for a reason, as to not give away pivotal parts of the story. Again, I'm not going to tell you what and how and whatever else. You can figure that out for yourself, and you'll see that in the trailers, and even I did as it evolved in the movie. I went, hang on a minute, that's different. They didn't show that in the trailers. They changed it, but they changed it on purpose. as to not give away the element of the story. And also to the point, those of you who have seen the Infinity War leak trailer, you'll also notice there's a little something different that wasn't given away even then as well. So Marvel were actually thinking ahead, which was very smart of them. Well done. But look, like we said, this was an enjoyable movie. I mean, the comedy, it does work, and Taika Waititi, the director of this film, actually appears in the film. He does a voice in the film. The character whose name escapes me, the big rock dude.
Korg? No.
I think it might be called. One of you will correct us, I'm sure. Which obviously you don't see coming, and I felt a little uncomfortable with at first. But as the movie went on, it actually became one of the highlights of the film and probably one of the most laughable bits. Not if him himself actually delivering jokes, but him just doing the voice itself can be freaking amusing.
The director has definitely set up a definitely good foundation. So as long as the foundation is good, should be right.
What was the question again, Brew?
Yeah.
But look, much in the vein of Guardians of the Galaxy, if you love Guardians of the Galaxy, this kind of follows the same kind of tone. Very cool, very funny, but was still action-packed and moving the story along. But I can see that this is going to get a lot of negative feedback, but who cares? I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it, Matt?
I enjoyed it.
Matt enjoyed it. So look, I'm going to give Thor Ragnarok a 7.5 out of 10.
And I'll just be something different and go 7.75.
You just had to be difficult, didn't you, Matt? Bloody Matt Damon.
Well, I got out of Mars.
I'm never going anywhere with you. So, look, yeah, it has its weak points, but it definitely has a lot of strong points, hence the 7.5 and the 7.75. But again, very enjoyable film. I hope this makes a lot of money. Look, and being a Marvel film, I think it's pretty much guaranteed that it's going to do that anyway. So, that's our review of Thor Ragnarok. This is Colski.
I'm Matt.
We'll see you next time.